Hello viewers, aji moilo da hina se amano de Mr.Niketu Iralu. Mr.Niketu Iralu is a member of Forum for Naga Reconciliation (FNR), and then he's a member of Initiative of Change. Initiative of Change, formerly Moral Re-Armament.
Yeah, MRA for short.
Yes, and most importantly, he is a Naga elder that has been inspiring a lot of young and old Naga. Now, we're very thankful to you, sir, for consenting to be here with us today. I want to start with one of your quote here. Quote unquote, you said, Nagas have become unpredictable, dangerously grumbling. During the National Press Day organized by Kohima Press Club. So I want you to elaborate on this. Nagas have become unpredictable, dangerously grumbling. Yes.
Well, thank you for this time with you.
Welcome.
I think because we are not at peace within ourselves. We're not happy. Because we are responding incorrectly to the situation we are now in. The world is changing all the time. And we should be responding correctly to the situation that has changed. Shift with the changing paradigms, I think it's called. Then we are clear. And our conclusions are clear. And when a human being is clear, he can be very definite, and he will not be grumbling.
Okay.
He will be precise because he knows what's ahead, the consequences of what he will do, good or bad, but he's clear. I think we lack clarity. And therefore, the easiest thing to do in that situation is it's because of you that we are so confused.
You could have chose a different path. I think it will not be unfair for me to say you grow up. I'm sure you grow up privileged compared to other Naga of your time. So you could have chosen other fields, but you chose to serve the society. What inspired you to in this field?
Well, that's a very big question. In a few months, I'll be quite old, 90. And so I am looking back a lot of the time.
Okay.
And as I look back, I'm seeing things in clearer perspectives in the different times.
Okay.
And something that I never quite understood, but I responded. So I am able to articulate more clearly today, I think, how I have come up, my journey. I think I can say that it has been a constant searching, wrestling in my little way to respond to the situation that I found in a very feeble way, very inefficient way. But there was a desire to see that I was in touch with the difficult questions I was facing.
Okay.
As a little boy. And so when I look back, as I came up with the Second World War battle in Kohima.
Yes.
I was 9 years old at that time.
Okay.
And the shattering experience of that. Our family shifted to Konoma, our village.
Okay.
But we could hear the boomings of the artillery firings and the guns, bombs bursting in Kohima, and the shaking of the whole countryside also.
Okay.
And so we said, what's happening? We never had this thing happening before. And then the Japanese were found to be such tough fighters.
Okay.
They came all the way walking from Myanmar before the Singapore.
Okay.
And here they were giving the British a huge fight, and the Indian army, British and Indian armies. And then in the Hiroshima bomb fell. Not Nagasaki first, I think, and then Hiroshima. And then the Japanese they surrendered. It means that the war is something very, very huge happening. Such a mighty army was suddenly defeated.
Yes.
Because of the atomic bombs.
Yes.
And we all knew that, even so poorly receiving information, but we knew that lakhs of people died in one blast.
Yes.
2 blasts. And so these things, I remember saying that, my God, what kind of a world have I come in? I was only 9 or 10. And I remember, as I look back, feeling very insecure.
Mm-hmm.
And I had started to use school atlas.
Okay.
Maps, world maps.
Okay.
Our family, we had one copy of an atlas. So I remember constantly, as in the next class, in the next year, I started to look at the map and saying to myself, where in the world people will be safe from atomic blasts in the future? So I identified the southern tip of New Zealand.
Okay.
And the southern tip of Chile and Argentina.
Okay.
At the very end. Only those 2 places will be far away enough from atomic blast dangers.
Okay.
And then saying to myself, I never talked to anybody, but looking at the map again and said, my gosh, our family is, we are not rich enough for me to go there.
Okay.
And therefore, I'm going to live in a very unsafe world. And is there no, therefore, without, as I said, without being able to articulate, saying to myself, is there no answer to the what produces wars like the one in Kohima?
Yes.
And in Germany, Japan, everywhere?
Yes.
Is there no solution to what produces such destruction? And I became very conscious that it's in me also. Although I could never quite put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Selfishness.
Yes.
And lack of thought for others. And pride, ego. Now, all these things you can't put into words when you are just coming up. But as I look back, in a very instinctive, intuitive way, I was responding to them.
Okay.
And I think it's very important that we give enough importance to this, shall we say, very little flickerings, questions that disturb us in our soul and our conscience. We stay at the level of our brain, our mind. I immediately understand something, see it, and our heart respond to it.
Yes.
But we don't go down further to the other 2, which is soul, conscience and soul. Brain, heart, conscience and soul. These are indivisible like an egg. An egg is an indivisible thing. If you try to separate it, it's no longer an egg. The use is gone, or they always go together.
Yes.
So I discovered very, very later on, but that's why we don't go far enough. I realized that our brain understands that's a gift, God's gift to us. Our heart feels immediately fear or love or appreciation or rejection, all these things. But then we need to say that there's something more than this. Deep down in our soul, we say, well, I'm just like just the other fellow from the other tribe or the village or the other place far away, wherever. I'm a human being, that kind of thing.
Yes.
I'm part of the environment. Now, these are big things. But instinctively, intuitively, we are aware of these things, existential, thinking.
Yes.
And then our conscience is there, amazingly linked with our soul, our mind, and our conscience, our soul. And I think we have to learn to respond to challenges, impacts coming to us by getting all these 4. Making sure all these 4 are given enough chance to guide us.
Yes.
I think the guiding light is there. Then we are able to handle changes that are coming to us. Otherwise, we end up getting, well, this is too difficult, or I don't want it because I'm not responsible. But your soul and your conscience will tell you that you are responsible. You may be just a very ordinary little fellow, but when you grow up, still then you may be from a very ordinary background, and you may not have enough talent. I discovered I have very little talent except fears and worries.
Okay.
Yeah, and even then you're responsible. These are wonderful realities. You are responsible. Because at the beginning of the Bible, it says, God made man in his own image. And into the image that he made in his own likeness, he breathed his breath. And man became a living soul.
Yes.
I mean, think of it.
Yes.
See, these are the things that we have to learn to wake up and learn to use them to guide us. As I said, very, very many long later, I realized I was in my own little way trying to follow that. And so when I went to finish school, I went to school in Peg to start where I was born, Peg, and then to my village, Konoma, with my sister who was a primary school teacher, with my another sister, and then I went to, my father was transferred to different places all the time.
Okay.
He was never in Kohima as a doctor.
Okay.
He was the third Naga to be a doctor.
Okay.
But he was first Woka, and then Tenning, and then Peg, and in Peg for the longest.
Okay.
So 6 of us were born there. One was born in Woka, another 2 sisters born in Woka. One was, my brother was born in Mokokchung. Father was going around all the time. And so with these things, I became aware of others than just my Angami tribe or my village. We discovered there are many others in the world, besides Konoman.
Exactly.
That is still a tendency of my tribe to think only about ourselves. Anyway, I mean, that's how when I went to Madras Christian College, after going to, I went to St. Edmund's College for my first 11.
Yes.
And after 1 year, my father said, that's too expensive, go to a cheaper place. So he had many children to look after. So luckily, Barapani was very near.
Okay.
And just starting.
Yes.
It was 11 and 12, intermediate RC, it was called at that time. And it was in the jungle, under the pine trees and bushes, grasses, thatch houses, that's all. But the professors were very good.
Okay.
Because they were Christians from all over the world, brought together by North East Christian Council to establish that college. And Stanley Lee Kotzroy was the mind that, got this generated and becoming made into a college that it is later on.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there for the second year because it was much cheaper.
Okay.
We couldn't go to Shillong. And then from there, I went to, because of 2 of my professors who were so wonderful. Myself and Lal Kama, my Mizo friend.
Okay.
He became the chief secretary later on, who later drafted the Mizo Accord with Lal Tenga.
Okay.
And we said, we'll go to Madras Christian College, Tambaram. Because the 2 professors were so fascinating. There were different kinds of professors.
Okay.
So we went there. And you see, I was going away that was 1955. And trouble was starting already in Nagaland. And I sensed that things were stirring up rapidly. And I had the deepest respect for the Naga struggle, Naga movement. And but I had a sense that I was meant to go to go to university.
Okay.
My roommate in Barapani was Isaac Su, Isaac Shishi Su.
Okay.
He became chairman later on of NSC and IM.
Yes.
I had friends like that. And General Mu from my village. We grew up together with him in my village. And a number of others. Tino Sele, boyhood friends.
Yeah.
These friends, heroes, were beginning to train themselves for the struggle. I was going away to a beautiful campus in South India.
Okay.
Something tells me I felt some guilt. these people will say you're a coward. You're going away from your people when
Exactly.
things are heading up.
Exactly.
And that's true. I am a coward. But deep down, I said, but am I meant to be with these friends when my heart is disturbing me about what the future of the Naga people is going to be? I have the deepest respect for the sacrifice of all these people, because of which we have our story today.
Absolutely.
At the same time, I said, yeah, that is true. Don't pretend that you're not a coward. But also, there is a role I'm meant to play.
Mhm.
Following the searchings in my soul and conscience, I could not deny that they were disturbing me, seriously.
Okay.
And so I went with great insecurity. And in my college, soon after I came, I ran into the idea of this moral rearmament,
Okay.
MRA.
Amen.
My two professors from Scotland were associated fully with this idea. So they had workers, international workers of that movement, staying with them very often. And they said those who are interested in this idea will have a meeting in one of the houses. They were explaining what it is. Those who are interested, you are welcome,
Mm-hmm.
even
Yes.
Tea Party. So I went, and we were 7 or 8 students from different colleges. And these people explained what moral rearmament was. That it is to remake the world. That's a huge thing.
Yes.
The world needs to be remade. I mean, that was after the Second World War, the First World before that, the Cold War becoming hot, and political upheavals all over the world. The world needed to be remade. That's quite clear. But starting with the change in your own self every day, where you are part of the problem, instead of brilliantly blaming others and then be the preacher,
Yes.
be the criticizer.
Yes.
I could not get over it. I said, well, here's something that challenges me. Because changing the world, and it also said, any idea that leaves anybody out is too small for our age. I said, well, that's hugely challenging, but that is true.
Beautiful.
Any idea that leaves anybody out is too small for our age. Means we have come to a completely new world crisis after the Second World War.
Yes.
And the empires collapsing and going away, European imperial powers. I mean, all of us are aware of all these things, huge things happening. And I said, there I see a light opening, which says that you cannot, in the new crisis, you cannot leave anybody out and think that things will work out. There'll be more conflict, and therefore, remaking the world means total, but changing with yourself every day. It means not your way, but God's way.
Yes. Yes.
Because the Marxist way was the world needs to be remade. Identify all those who are the evil people, the capitalists and bankers, all of them, shoot them. The end justifies the means. Means leaving many ideas, many people out. The consequence very dangerous.
Yes.
Not being able to articulate them. That's very quickly I show that, well, there's no future there. But here was a future that challenged enough. And it led to, they said, if we can explain everything to you, but the whole day we can explain, but you will understand it if you listen to the still small voice in your heart, your conscience, deep down, the still small voice. Now, as a Christian, I knew what that meant. Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth, in the Old Testament, by the, I think Samuel, And so it appealed to me very greatly. And so it said, let us be quiet. To me as a Christian, that meant the Holy Spirit. Let us be quiet and see what thoughts are coming to us for about 4 or 5 minutes. And write down our thoughts. Pieces of paper were given, we had our pens. And so let us just be quiet. and listen. Now, as a Christian, I was used to saying all the things to God. I even shout to Him, said, "You do this because you're God, after all. Do this for me, for my family, my village, my clan, whatever it is." And quite soon, immediately, Amen. Praise the Lord. But never saying to God, God, I've told you everything, but do you have anything to say to me? That intrigues me very much. I never thought of that because I said, I'm just an ordinary fellow. Who am I to ask God to tell me? Here, we were sitting quiet for, everybody was quiet. I felt very awkward. I didn't hear anything. Listen to the still small voice, of course, I didn't hear anything. But after the second minute or so, a thought came to me, you are a very selfish man. And I wrote it down. It didn't seem to come from God. But it was, I said, well, yes, that's it. So I wrote it down. Selfish. You're a very selfish man. Then you love nobody. And then you hate others and you're jealous of so many. So and so. The list was becoming long, so I stopped. Your hate of others is because of your selfishness. I still remember very clearly I wrote those thoughts. And then the time came to share our thoughts came. So my friends shared their thoughts. My turn came. The chairman said, Mr. Iralu, what do you have? What thought you have? Nothing important. I didn't hear anything, nothing important. So, and you're all very busy, so I don't want to take up your time. So that's okay. No, we want to hear from everybody. So I said, okay. So I took out my slip of paper. I read them out. You are a very selfish man. All these thoughts. As I read them out, I said, my gosh, this is something new. I immediately said, there is something new, very tiny, but very new. That is true. And I've never called a spade a spade. Selfishness, I never gave a name to it. You're jealous, I never give thought to it because it's become too complicated. Yes. And you don't love anybody, well, I never give thought to it because it will lead to so many other things. I realized that my life was run by refusing, denying reality. I sensed that I was touching something very big, very silently. And I think that is how things happen in history.
Yes.
And so at the end, my friend said, thank you, Mr. Iralu, for your courage and honesty. I was very touched that I always was very conscious that I'm a very timid man. But he said, thank you for your courage and honesty. I was very stirred. My God, why? Because I just said yes to whatever was coming. I wrote them down. Instead of denying or arguing, just write them down. It was a tiny beginning, but it was a huge beginning. It turned out to be. And so the chairman said, if you will listen to the still small voice in your heart, conscience, whatever it is, and fight to follow it, obey it.
Okay.
You have no idea what God will lead you to. But that's how life is meant to be lived, kind of a thing.
Yes.
And so I went away to my room. I decided to get up earlier than usual in my room, and I would sit down and say, God, and I read my Bible, pray to God. Of course, that's very necessary, very necessary.
Yes.
But then I say, okay, do you have anything to say to me? So I tried to do that. It became more difficult. And okay, you said God told you're very selfish. In what way am I selfish? One morning I asked. So I sat down and asked that question, say, the electric bulb.
Okay.
In my room, there was an electric bulb on my table. It was 25 watt or something, very weak. My eyes are not too good. Have not been good for a long time.
Okay.
And in the some corridors, down the corridor, the common bathroom, very powerful bulb. One night after everyone go to bed, midnight, I went and changed the bulbs.
Okay.
My room was beautifully lit up.
Okay.
I didn't care what happened to the bathroom.
Okay.
I thought nobody would talk about it. But when to the bathroom, they say, hey, what happened to our life?
Yeah.
Everybody complained. I'm very angry. I didn't say a word. I came back and I said, my gosh, what have I touched? So I said, okay. In my experiment, I was doing experiment in listening to the inner voice. So next morning, I said, what are you telling me? So the thought was that's how you solve your problem.
Yes.
But what happened to consequence on others? You don't think about it. That's selfishness. So without listening further, I went and midnight, change the bulb again. And the bathroom was, hey, like that. What has happened? I didn't say a word. I was getting into trouble. So the next morning, the time of listening,
Mm-hmm.
the thought came, go and tell Professor Gavin Martin, the most popular English professor in our college.
Okay.
Probably in the university.
Okay.
From Scotland. Fantastic professor of Middle English and English novels. Even I, the most backward boy in the class, enjoyed his lectures. The way he explained novels and everything. He was our warden, Bishop Heberhole warden.
Okay.
The thought came to me, go and tell just what you have done, your experiment. I said, my gosh, this listening to the inner voice leads you to very simple, very difficult thing. Anyway, it gave care several days. It was that, just do that. I didn't want to do that because I was afraid that I was very conscious that all my class friends were from different states of South India, from Malaysia, from Sri Lanka, Africa. They were very clever students. They had come. I went to study English literature, and these friends they studied Shakespeare, Milton, Wordsworth, Dickens, all of them.
They were way ahead of you.
And Middle English, I had studied only Assam Tribune and Reader's Digest. Therefore, I felt very inferior. And they all knew that this fellow looks strange. Where is he from? Kind of there. And so I was so afraid they will laugh at me that I was listening to inner voice. They're intellectuals, many of them Marxist. I said I was so afraid anybody would come to know that I was making this very simple experiment.
Yes.
Therefore, if my professor will laugh at me and the word will spread to my friends, life will become miserable. Anyway, I said I must obey the thoughts that come to me. So I decided to go one evening to see Gavin Martin. Went to his residence. I knocked on the door about 3 or 4 p.m. He came out, the big fellow. He said, Mr. Iralu, what is it? I said, sir, it's a very simple thing. Come in. I came in, he set me on the one end of the sofa and the other end of the sofa. He said, and hovering over me, big man, he said, what is it? I said, sir, I'm making an experiment. And so I told him that I had changed the bulb and I had, obeying my inner voice, put it back. But the thought came to me, experiment said to me, you must go and tell the warden because you had played with college property.
Okay.
Public property, college property. Somehow that said that would be the honest thing to do. So I did. So that's what I'm doing. So I said at that time he will just laugh at me, then I'll be finished. When I finished, instead of laughing at me, he looked at me, stretched out his hand, shook my hands and said, well done. Keep it up. As I said, I was the most insecure boy in the class, most backward, truly. And the most popular professor said, well done, keep it up. I was so moved, so deeply stirred. So I said, go. I had come and said, I'm ready for any punishment. He said, go, keep it up. I walked back to my room and saying to myself, my God, I made an experiment, I obeyed it, and I feel that change can come if I obey. That I was dealing with my selfishness in a very practical, direct way. Just the beginning, mind you.
Yes, yes.
But it was costing me something. And I said, well, this is how Christianity is meant to be lived out. And in fact, all religions, selfishness is the same. Corruption, selfishness, cruelty, the same in all religions. If we just stop what is wrong and do what is right, we find a unity that is so powerful. Anyway, that was for me my first experiment in discovering the beginning of change in my nature.
Okay.
And I said, well, I have a long story. I'm going to go too long.
Yeah, please.
But that one of the things I did immediately as part of the experiment was to write to my mathematics teacher, my father's best friend in Kohima school, mission school, and saying that I cheated in mathematics because I could never do mathematics at all. Very simple again.
Okay.
Laughable for many people. But I was scoring very hopelessly 5, 6 zeros very often with my cousins. We all did very badly. And our teacher, he was Richard Cray.
Okay.
The man who drafted the Simon Commission memorandum. Anyway, he was my father's very close best friend. So I said, what will he tell my father? What? I was so embarrassed. But I got honest with him because the time I cheated, I got 86%. And he said, what's happening to you? I told a lie. He said, I used to work very hard and all that. Well, like that. And I wrote an honest letter to my father about everything I was cheating. I was cheating him every month, sending my account. Yeah. The fact that I sent him an account made him feel I was a very good fellow. But I was telling him a lie all the time, mixing him all kinds of accounts. I was ashamed of. All the things I was ashamed of, I told my father. And my father was in jail in Nagaland Central Jail, because the political things that trouble has started.
Yes.
My father had just retired from Assam Medical Service.
Okay.
And soon after he retired, he was put in Central Jail as a political prisoner. My father had no connection with politics. He didn't know how to do anything politics at all. But he was the husband of my mother. His brother-in-law was Fizo.
Yes.
So he found himself put in jail for waging war against the Republic of India. So my father was feeling miserable there. When my letter came, he was very, very moved. And he replied to me. I still remember that letter. He said, my dear son, thank you for your courage and honesty. Again, that really moved me very much. Because he said, I know how you, my children, feel the way I have treated your mother. I promise I'll treat her differently. Well, I was honest with him about my own wrongs. I had no idea he was going to reach out to where he was wrong. I was just putting things right with the most important man in my life.
Yes.
But my father saw where he also needed to change. That to me was a new discovery. He said, when I obeyed and do the right thing at the cost of my selfishness or hate or whatever, the things at the cost of my own wrongs, I obey God, the inner voice. He knows how to use that for others. Others say that if that man can change, there's hope for me also.
Yes.
No, for me, my father is saying that moved me very much. Because with this small salary, our family, big family, had to be looked after. My mother did everything. She used to cry often in our kitchen. And we felt miserable. And father was saying, I know how you, my children, have felt the way I've treated your mother. I promise I'll treat her differently. And he did. And so for me, I'm just seeing the beginning, but this is the roadmap for me. So in my second year, I was doing a 3-year honors course in English. I was studying to become a teacher. I said, teaching is what I will do to help my people.
Okay.
I left my studies in my second year. I realized that I was not going to be a great Shakespeare scholar, so I'm learning now. I've shown a roadmap to study instead of becoming an academic. I was not going to be academic. So that's how That's how I've walked on that road. And so that's how I've been responding to a changing world impacting me. In my very humble way, honest way. I think that's what I learned to do. And this is what I'll do till the day I leave. This brings down to deciding to do what needs to be done, no matter how small you are, like me, how untalented you are, like me. But in your given situation, to be fully responsible means for the whole world. People may not say you're responsible at all. That doesn't matter. But if you do what is right, you're responsible for your situation and for the world. If everyone said, I'm responsible, what should happen in the world? My God, so much selfishness and, rivalries will go, and the right thing will be done. And the work, Moral Re-Armament, what really, for me, was a satisfying goal is there is enough in the world for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed. If we care enough and share enough, there is enough for everyone.
Yes.
I mean, the world doesn't have enough for everyone's greed. That's a fantastic, simple truth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, even the Harvard economists or the Cambridge economists or Delhi School of Economics, ultimately it comes down to that. There's not enough for everyone's greed, but there is enough water, enough funds, enough forests, enough jobs for everyone's need. It works out. Because a spirit of caring for one another makes everything possible. But if we say that I'm a selfish and there should be enough for my greed, there is not enough. You will not have enough. I'll have too much. Anyway, that's how I will. My long answer to yours.
Your long but beautiful answer.
I think what I will sum up by saying, as I look back, all of us need to know how we are responding to the changing realities every day. Not to say that somebody else is more responsible to do that. There are many others who can do much better, no doubt. But if too many of us will say that we will bring everything down. Those who are doing it will have to be very corrupt to do what they do.
Yes.
Because they have to satisfy our selfishness.
Yes.
See?
Yes.
And we are doing nothing except I'm not responsible.
Yes.
So that the world becomes immediately on. I think that is how we have dragged our society down to where it is.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. So beautiful answer. Now, based on your answer, I would like to ask you, do you think a subject on peace should be taught in school to our children as well? The impact, the importance of peace in our society. Do you think we should introduce that in the schools as well, in the school curriculums?
Well, I think the idea is very important. But you see, peace, everybody say, oh, I know what it is.
Yes.
But we must at the same time be producing examples of people who are at peace in themselves. Then children will say, well, that's what I want. But if children are terribly sharp, they know exactly what's in the teachers. You say he's full of the right words and the right ideas, but we know he or she is a rascal.
Yeah.
They may not say, but that's the end of it.
Yes.
Then cynicism starts in the children. Therefore, I'm saying it's very important, but therefore the idea should be implemented by all of us, beginning to improve the human quality. Teachers, or government servants or villagers, that understanding of the need should be grasped by all of us. And I think that is easier said than done. But then we will have teachers teaching out of their own experiences.
Yes.
Then the children will say, well, I want that, because the human heart is also hungry.
Yes.
Hungry for the bread of life, hungry for the water of life. And if out of the teacher's life, the bread of life doesn't come out, he says the best things, the right things, but he is full of signs of selfishness for himself. The children said, everything is a lie. That's very damaging.
Yes.
That's terrible destruction. And I think that is going for too long. Oh, not just here, all over the world. So your question, peace education, I think because of the need of that, do it and learn to do it. Just keep improving. And we can't say that we'll have peace education only when we have Pakka saints. No. Get it done and keep improving, like the Japanese doctrine of growth and development, Kaizen. If you're a teacher, keep improving being a teacher. If you're an engineer, keep improving being an engineer. If you're a farmer, planter, or a technician or electrician, keep improving, Kaizen. I think that's how our national thinking, if you can get that. It doesn't happen like turning on a switch and off. It doesn't happen immediately. But when we have that thinking adopted, understood, it'll happen. So without saying that, oh, no, he's not good enough, she's not good enough, I'm not good enough. Just, it should be done and therefore start and change as you should change. Then we'll have the right kind of education in this field that you're saying, I think. And very much needed.
Yes. Coming back to our Naga society, what was your first impression when you arrived in Nagaland after so many years of living abroad? So once, I'm sure you have been reading about Nagaland on and off everywhere, wherever you were around the world, but with boots on the ground, once you landed here, like what came to your mind? Like,
well, I used to come once a month for 1 month. Once a year for 1 month.
Okay.
And go back to work with my work, my fellow workers in different parts of India, different parts of the world. I was preaching and sharing the best ideas. Okay, changing the world, starting with yourself, and sharing my own experiences of change that had taken place or taking place, doing the right thing, no doubt. But whenever I landed in Dimapur and I started to come to Kohima, I discovered every time I come, the beautiful forests on both sides of the road, were buildings coming up, better and better buildings. And I said to myself, well, I'm out to change the world. People are changing Nagaland, taking everything going away. Where is my share? Immediately what about my share? I found, although I had the right idea about selfishness being wrong, I found that I was full of jealousy. Now, I talked about jealousy at the beginning.
Yes.
But I had a clear understanding, I think, because of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, well, what do I do? And I said that it means that your idea of changing the world is not big enough or deep enough. That you need to change every day. Your idea needs to be adequate. And that is where a person has to really take on the inward journey into himself. It's something one can't talk too much about. But I think that enabled me to understand more and more as I came home to see where the change in me needed to be deeper.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think our society was going through a huge change. Nagas unexposed to the world for centuries. As human beings, you are as old as anybody in the world, as old as the Greeks, the Jews, or the Turks, or the Japanese. But we were isolated from the world because our geography. And so we were just confined to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to know that we are increasingly, gradually becoming part of the changing world.
Yes.
Therefore, what will be demanded out of each one of us? For our land to be properly developed, our society to grow properly. I think this we're discovering that we have many things to do in a short time. And so I discovered that every time I came, I saw how much I need to change myself. Instead of saying where all my friends are, the people are, others are selfish and so on. That's the easiest thing. But I realized that the change that has started in me showed me that it's not a simple thing. You have to really accept it and to discover the size and nature of the battle you have taken upon yourself, to obey the still small voice. The size and the nature of that battle, one should never say, well, I'm not good enough. But just say that, well, I need to understand where things need to be different, that's all. Because that's what heaven, our Creator, requires of us for the world that He wants to be a just world. I think, yes, I found when I came back that we were going to get into more and more conflicts and more blaming of one another,
Mm-hmm.
and saying that, well, why don't they change? And then just learn brilliantly how to blame where others are wrong. Others do the same thing to us. And that's what we are doing too much. The whole Northeast, not just us, but that's how the world is destroying itself.
Yes.
And it has been going for a long time. But I think that we should, realizing what a critical place we are in the world, in the Northeast India, and surrounded by China, India, Burma, Bangladesh, and all that.
Mm.
We must understand our geography and say, well, if our society is to grow properly, as we should, instead of destroy ourselves as we are doing, we need to understand the big part we are part of, the big thing we are a part of. We are a small part of the big thing.
Yes.
And that is why I think it's very important to learn to think enough moment by moment every day. And that listening to the inner voice I mentioned at the beginning, to learn to do that sufficiently. I don't know what I've answered your question.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
that's what I found.
Yes. Now, coming to our Naga national movement,
Yeah.
do you think we are on the right path, on the right track?
I think, you see, we started in the right way. You know the story. The British came in 1831, 2 or something like that.
Yes.
First time the world was hitting us.
Yes.
Before that, we were in the jungle. Nobody came to us. They didn't know that we had so much resources.
Yes.
And that we were not needed. And so the rest of India never came to us. The British, because of the empire in South Asia, which stretched across China, Burma,
Yes.
they came to establish the eastern boundary line. So they had to go to Manipur. Manipur Maharaja was part of the Maharaja chain across India. So they had established a connection of control over Manipur. And so from the plains, they started to cross our land. They happened to cross this area, our area here.
Yeah.
If they had crossed any other part of of Naga homeland, Nagas would have reacted the same way. But they said, why are you crossing our land without our permission? The British, they said, in Australia, Africa, everywhere, they said, why should we consult you? We are not important, we are important. So our people say, well, we don't allow that. So the fight started, resisting the British started in 1832. And that went on for over 50 years, resisting the British. They were determined to have a connection with Manipur, draw the border, and gradually that's how Naga Hills district came to be created after defeating us in 1879. And as I said, that would happen anywhere in any other Naga area, not just here. But there was an accident of history. They happened to come here. That's how these Naga tribes here did that. And that led to Simon Commission, as you know.
Yeah.
And so the struggle was honorable and authentic. Well, we don't know who you are, but you should ask our permission. That's very authentic.
Yes.
And we just said, if you don't respect that, for the sake of our own honor as human beings, we'll have to resist you. And we had no idea that we were resisting the hugest empire in the world.
Largest empire in the world.
But they were trying to beat the hell out of us, or we were trying to beat the hell out of them. And they won naturally. Anyway, so the beginning was right. Then, not long after that, the Christian missionaries, American Baptists, came. And then we know the story. How from Sadia, they were going to China, Shan, to convert China. But there was trouble in China, I think Opium War or something like that. Serious disturbance, instability in China. So the British said, you can't go. So they were stuck in Sadia on the Brahmaputra.
Okay.
And so the missionaries, Clark, the story is known, how he went to, eventually to Impur,
yes,
Mokokchung district, and how Christianity from there started to spread out. So that was in this third decade of the 19th century.
Mm.
And so these things happened as a result of our response to changes coming. And we became part of Naga Hills district of Assam. The rest of the eastern main part of the Naga homeland were untouched. They stretched into Burma. They did the same thing from Burma side also. They were just there when they're not necessary to be visited, kind of a thing. So we stayed exposed for so many centuries. And so our response began to give us a sense that we are a people. Before that, Angamis thought only for themselves.
Yes.
And all the other tribes did likewise.
Yes.
And nothing wrong about it.
Yeah.
The time did not require us to respond. In Arnold Toynbee, the great British historian, said, all of history can be written in two small words: challenge and response. And he said, each society progresses only to the extent it meets its challenges. And I think that's a very good guide to understand how we should be concerned about our response to the challenges.
Yes.
And I think our response to that time brought us together, because the different tribes started to feel aware, we if we are alone, we're not going to do it properly. To respond to the challenges coming, we need to be larger than this. We need to become closer.
Yes.
And we looked around, we look like one another. And indeed, culturally and in blood, we're related for quite an extensive area.
Yes.
The Nagas.
Yes.
And it goes all the way to Burma.
Yes.
No question about that. It just revealed itself.
Yes.
For many, many, many centuries, that did not, it was just dormant. But a reality became identifiable and became the Naga people like that.
Yes.
And we know the story. I don't need to go into that. And so to stand up to the British like that was authentic and honorable. We were not doing it for anything more than to protect, defend our honor.
Yes.
Very important for our proper growth. And then it went on when the India's independence was coming, like August 1920, and 1929 Simon Commission. They came.
Mm-hmm.
They said, Naga said, well, if you are going away after defeating us over these years, no, we fought you. We didn't fight anybody. We didn't fight India. We didn't fight Burma. we fought only the British imperialists. So they said there were signs that they were going to go one day when they came with the Simon Commission 29.
Yes.
So our people said to them, if you're going away, that we have the right to decide our own future.
Exactly.
Yeah, whether we decide to be part of the new British whatever empire or our neighbors,
Yeah.
or whether we'll decide our own future, we have the right.
Yes.
For a very, loosely connected community to say that was very bold. But it was we were not aware of what the challenges would be. But it was our instinctive sense that was right, for the sake of our protection of our land, our honor as a community. And that's how the beginning was authentic. And then 18 years later, on August 14, 18 years later,
Yes.
when India was going to become independent the next day, we know the story of how the Nagas were all together and the sea,
Yes.
all together, and they talked into the whole day, we were told. And those who, at that time, who were together here, because the roads were not good enough
Yes.
to move quickly, Nagas who were together declared Naga independence, reaffirming what they had said 18 years ago. So I think the fact that we had no sense of mischief against anybody in declaring that we were a people, we had become a people and a nation. Although just beginning, we were not like that before, but we had become a people and nation as a result of responding to the challenges together, as Toynbee said. So a new political reality had come to the Nagas. We had become a people and a nation, and we decided to stand for that. And so when India came the next day, it was a new India, a larger India created by the British.
Yes.
The British India before that was very ancient civilization, but full of Maharajas enjoying themselves, basically. And we said to this India, well, yesterday we became independent from the British Empire. We fought them, not you.
Yes.
It was not because we were against India, but we were just simply stating the facts of our history. You understand?
Yes. Yes.
And I think it's very important for Nagas today, your generation, to understand that we were not anti-India. We are not against India. We are not. Very important. We simply said we are very small, yes, no doubt. But on the basis of our history, we are your little neighbor. Of course, that's very difficult for India to accept, because the British gave them a map, Len Pata. We were inside that map. And they had no time to change that. Although in 29 we had made our position clear. And Naga said we are reaffirming it on August 14. Huh? So these are, from the Indian perspective, very difficult to understand. But the majority of people of India have yet to understand. Indian intelligence, Indian army, Indian policymakers know all the facts.
Yes.
Because these are the facts. Yeah. But Nagas have no sense of guilt, or that we are treasonous of any kind, guilty of treason in any way, by saying that we are not you, you are not us.
Mm-hmm.
We're just stating that nobody was there. And when the British came, we fought them. And when they were leaving, we said this. And we are reaffirming it the day before they left India. And so, but we had to understand that the first Prime Minister of India cannot say, oh, well, that's true, therefore, because if he did that, his government will not last.
Yes.
He had to defend the map the British gave them. Now, I think a lot of our problem is there. We put up a fight, and the fight from that day on to up to today, what it became. It led on to, in 1951, the plebiscite. It was celebrated the other day.
Yes, yes.
Up to the plebiscite, Nagas were totally together, all together. Therefore, to celebrate the the other day by the younger generation organizing it. I think it was a very, very intelligent thing to do, very appropriate thing to do, timely thing to do, to tell the present generation today that for up to the 1951 and before the creation of the state, Nagas were totally together. And that's a very important fact to establish and understand why it is important. All these things need to be understood instead of just, oh, I know it and then move on. Then there's no proper understanding that is needed. And so that's why when India realized that they needed to defeat the Nagas, they started sending Indian army.
Yes.
Naturally, because the prime minister had to defend the map. If you, with the prime minister of India, if you didn't do that, your parliament will say you are a traitor.
Yes.
Exactly. So we must understand the rightness of the Indian prime minister's stand. The Indian intelligence chiefs told him, create a state right now, and all the educated Nagas will go to that, and the Naga movement will be finished.
Yes.
Very true. And that's how the state started to function. But honestly, I feel that those who decided to cooperate with the state, the creation of the state, cooperated with Delhi, Nehru to create the state. After so many years, so 6 or 7 decades, I think we are realizing that they did the right thing also. Because they said, we can't defeat the Indian army. And how do we look after our people? We believe in the rightness of the Naga struggle. But we also have to think, if we can't the Indian army, what do we do? Basically, it came down to that kind of a crisis. But the pressure was so great. The Indian army coming in, the pressure was so great that there was immediate division. Those who fought in the jungle condemned them as traitors. And these people, therefore, saying that, well, we simply said, how do we continue our struggle? Because we have to think of the operation of the Indian security forces. I mean, these are not dangerous things to say, but this thing we have to discuss openly now.
Yes.
That kind of thing led to the creation of the state. I think not all those who created the state, they are the first to say that they are not saints, but many of them had genuine concern about what will happen to the Naga people. And therefore today a time has come to thank one another for those who continue the fight, because they just couldn't say, oh, well, we are worried here who led the struggle. We have some worry about the coming of India. Therefore, sovereignty is thrown away. The people in the villages who gave their best. They said, what kind of situation like this? So those who continue the fight also, they should be understood. They did the most difficult thing. Those who created the state also should be understood today after 67 decades. Well, if they hadn't done that, where would the Nagas be? And also, India needed the state as much as the Nagas.
Exactly.
If India did not get into Nagaland state, then India has no place here, according to the facts of our history.
Yes.
So I think that Naga struggle, many things have gone wrong. But things go wrong in all human enterprises. That's not just here, all over the world. Terribly wrong. And things have gone terribly wrong. The point today, what you have to do is for all factions, groups increasing every day, virtually, overground, underground, all of us have to say, all of us have produced the Naga chutney. The Naga chutney that is poisoning us.
Yes.
Simply that, well, we can't blame somebody and say that the thing will be okay. Blame will produce more destruction. So that kind of thing we have to adopt and say, let us figure things out together. Let us have honest conversations. Very difficult. It's going to be very painful. But let us, well, we are my side, my tribe will say, well, in this, we are sorry, not you. We are sorry, not you, because we failed to do it or we did it for acts of commission or omission. You know it, and we have to deny it. Therefore, we are simply saying to you, in other things, it's up to you. We have to say you are not also perfect. But in this, we want to say we are sorry, please forgive us, and ask Nagas to forgive us. Your share is yours. But you will say that he has accepted his part of where I'm blaming him and or them,
Yes.
That kind of thing begins to create trust. And when trust starts to come in, then things are happening. But if trust is not coming in, nothing is happening. No healing, no reconciliation, no peace. Therefore, if we are going to work something, solve our differences, if at one point, because you are so honest about where you are wrong, I begin to say, well, he's honest where he's wrong. And I'm not prepared to be honest where I'm wrong. Well, there is something new. Means I'm beginning to trust you.
Yes.
And then you do not give up your honesty.
Yes.
And you do not say that you are wrong there, you are wrong there. You are leaving it to me. I'll say, I want to talk more with that man or with that group. Trust is beginning to happen. Then that journey will lead you to unexpected possibilities. I think that's what we need to create.
Exactly.
That's how I see our Naga crisis. We did the right thing, and because we broke down into the ditch of just blaming one another, which is lazy, irresponsible, and plainly immature, not understanding the big world we are a part of, the geography we are a part of, the size of the problem we are a part of in the world. Just thinking that we can restrict our blaming of destruction, or blaming one another up to Dimapur. We can keep things out. I think we have somehow lived like that because of the money that's coming to Kohima and Dimapur. Yeah.
As a Naga elder, do you think tribalism is one of the biggest hindrance towards unity among us? Tribalism. And what do you think? My second question is, what do you think is the most important ingredient for us to live beyond, keep aside our tribalism and move towards a common shared goal?
Yeah. Common shared goal is a very grand idea, grand slogan, grand idea, great concept. But I think what we need is to deal with the things that are wrong in ourselves. Without dealing with that, shouty slogans will create more distrust against one another. And I feel tribalism, you see, comes from the word tribe. And tribes are beautiful realities. It's a glorious diversity. And whatever we may say, we are beautifully diverse, colorfully, and but if we use that, we don't deal with our individual selfishness, it becomes tribalism. And to condemn tribalism without dealing with where each one of us are selfish and ego-driven, pride, and just plain selfish. Condemns tribalism will make it create more problems.
Okay.
Because I'll condemn tribalism, and means basically you will discover that I'm condemning your tribalism, and I'm making a lot of noise because tribalism is not right. But people will say, unless I deal with where my condemnation of tribalism, the roots, where it's wrong because I'm wrong in these things, which is producing the wrong tribe, a wrong relationship between us.
Yes.
If I'm not honest about where I'm wrong, but condemn tribalism, it means I'm condemning the tribalism of the Semas, the Aus, the Tangkuls, the Lotas, everybody else. It's incredible. You see, that is what we have to see. I feel that we have to see what is driving us. And in the rush and upheavals of politics and societal change, to talk like that, we will say, that's a simple-mindedness. He doesn't know the reality of politics and development. But I'm afraid things are going wrong because we don't deal with those things in human beings. Each one of us has to realize that what is wrong in me is very important.
It's the man in the mirror.
Yeah. What is wrong in others is also very wrong. But if I condemn you on your side, God will say to me, look, friend, I know how bad they are. They are much worse than what you know. They really are much worse than what you know. They are really very, very bad. But the issue is, what about this wrong in you? That's what I'm dealing with. And that's what you need to deal with. Don't waste my time. I have many other things to deal with. See, God is like that. We have no idea that the issue is where we need to pay the price instead of where others need to pay the price. God says, I know that. Leave it to me. And leave it to me and them. Deal with your part of it, where the smell has started.
Yes.
If I have produced the smell, it's me, not you.
Yes. Exactly.
And I'm only talking about your smell. And you say, this fellow is always making a smell. And he's talking about other people's smell. You find it in every conflict, it comes down to things like that. So to change that, just sit down and say, where am I part of the problem, part of the disease? Where? And say, well, they're wrong, forget that. Leave it to them and to God. Where am I part of the problem, part of the disease? And have the maturity and have the greatness and wisdom to deal with it. Then you are starting something you will be grateful for the rest of your life.
Thank you.
Otherwise, our society is sinking. Our society is sinking not because that tribe's selfishness. It's sinking because all of us are just dragging one another down.
That's very beautiful.
Yeah. And we need to be dragged down. But if we don't deal with where our share is, we are provoking one another to do the worst to one another. We need to inspire one another to do the best.
Yes.
It sounds simple, and too simple, but that will create miracles. We have no idea what it is. Yeah.
That's very beautiful. So it's the man in the mirror. Us, me. So
yeah, you see, I'll add here. I'm talking too much for a break. No. I think, you see, to do the right thing, it's amazing that all of us want the right thing. We have the highest desire for the best thing. And we must realize that we need one another's help to do that. We can't do it alone. And that's the meaning of the right thing. And therefore, decide to do the right thing, help one another. Then you have your individuality, your diverse qualities, and it becomes an additional duty to the whole outcome.
Yes.
But if we do not get down to that origin of things, helping one another means you have to be really selfless. You have to desire the greatness of the other person. And if you want me to be a greater person, there is no doubt about your greatness. You mean you are a really great man. And if I am helped to be like that, greatness or smallness ceases to be an issue. What needs to be done, the right thing for our society and the world, becomes the common issue of battle.
Yes.
And it brings the best out of us. You see, we need to bring the best out of one another instead of the worst out of one another. That's what we're doing. Simple, very simple, but that urgent, we look at them. This kind of self-destruction, suicidal.
Okay. Now coming back to this a question that I assured somebody that I will be asking you.
Yeah.
I've already so with your due permission.
Yeah.
I wanted to know your opinion on the recent protests against appointment of 147 assistant officers by the CTA and Combined Technical Association Nagaland and NNQF, Nagaland Net Qualified Forum. So it is universally it is not understandable, but to our Naga standard, it is understandable when jobs, fourth grade jobs or below, are appointed through backdoors, as that is the norms, because the politician has quota. So through him, he appoints his near and dear ones as peons, chokidars, LDA. That is understandable. But appointing associate professors, school teachers through the back door without proper examination, without proper without going through the proper door. I think that the impact, the negative impact effect of that will pass down for not just 2-3 years, 4 years but about 40, 50 years, because that's going to affect generation after generations. What is your opinion on that?
Well, I had the privilege of meeting some of the leaders a few days ago.
Yes.
And all of us, of course, reading about them, hearing about them, seeing them in social media. And so they have caught the attention of the public. And I feel, when I met them, I was very impressed by them. The quality of their brains and the quality of their feelings, and the depth of their concern, and the facts they knew, the grasp of the facts they knew.
Yes.
So, I find they're very highly educated people also. So we need people like that, taking up battles like that. 1. 2, from what I could come to see, understand more, being at that meeting,
yes,
I discovered the issue is whatever these politicians you mentioned have done, it is violating due process. Due process, I think, enables the rule of law in society,
yes,
in governance.
yes.
Otherwise, chaos takes over. Because if you're in power and you can have your way, you and your group will be very happy. But the rest of us are very angry. And is that what society needs? It is the beginning of destruction of society. Due process, insistence of due process. What they are saying is that the appointment or the job granting of jobs to people should be according to a due process that is established by the government.
Yes.
Which is in keeping with the constitution.
Yes.
Also.
Yes.
And law of the land. Well, they are fighting for that. And I feel that is timely and most urgent. I fully support. We can have a lot of talks about this or that details.
Yes.
And the government side,
Yes.
I guess, if I were in a very lucrative government position, I will also do the same thing, or certainly will be tempted to do that for my nephews, cousins, or whatever.
Absolutely.
It's like we're all like that. But this fight put up for them to do the right thing is so important. I'm sure the government side must be saying that thank God somebody is challenging us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm sure that the government, those leaders in the government who have tried to suppress this or to ignore their fight, the protest, the issues they have raised in their protest. I'm sure deep down they're saying, my gosh, thank God our society is challenging us to stop the wrong, dirty thing, not worthy of us leaders, and calling on us to do the right thing, which is what is expected of leaders. That sort of thing is going on. And therefore, they are doing a wonderful thing. Due process must not be played with.
But I think, like you said, the government seriously must be happy that somebody's at least awake.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
Because these people have fought with, real concern, anger, righteous anger, and for what is right for everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, due process is important for you. Otherwise, there's no chance for many people. Many people have no chance at all. And some people have everything to themselves. There is enough in the world for everyone's need, not for everyone's greed. It's there.
Exactly.
You see, that would be violated. And our world cannot survive that selfishness. And therefore, I'm sure the leaders who have tried to be against this protest, deep down they're saying, going to bed or early in the morning saying, thank God, our people are becoming aware of the wrong thing we were beginning to do.
Yes.
That's what we must pray for all of them.
Yes.
And ourselves.
Yes. And not just this particular organization, and the department, but I think if we emulate this movement in other sections of our society,
Yeah.
it would, even the national movement,
Absolutely.
or any other movement for that matter,
Yeah.
it will absolutely transform our society.
Yeah, I think overground, all departments, we are getting used to rationalizing whatever the difficulties that of the doing the right thing is a difficult thing.
Yes.
We are rationalizing and manipulating them for our own advantage.
Yes.
And we are realizing that we are doing something suicidal. And deep down, that is why we are unhappy. That's why at the very beginning we discussed we are what is a grumbling or something.
Yes. And
we are not happy.
Absolutely.
Mm.
And it's not surprising because out of many issues, out of many such appointments, this was I think one of the most impactful, one of the most fruitful protests.
Yep.
Because I used to tell my friends that if our society wants to stop corruption, our youngsters need to be self-sufficient, self-relying, dignity of labor. We should have dignity of labor, and we should not be depending on the government alone. Because when we are not allowed to criticize the hand that feed us.
Yeah.
So once we stop looking at the government as a source of free food or ration, then the same thing happened, because this CTA and the Combined Technical Association Nagaland, they are a group, a like-minded young Naga intellectual group who are technically qualified. They're computer engineers, electronic engineers. So they spend a fortune.
Yeah.
Their parents spend a fortune for them to acquire such level of education.
Yeah.
And even me growing up, I remember certain uncles in the village celebrating because their children could clear B.Tech.
Yeah.
They kill a pig back in the days.
Definitely.
Just 10, 15 years back.
Definitely.
Yeah. Now it has come to such a point that we have unemployed engineers.
Yeah.
Unemployed doctors.
Yeah.
So I think this movement has lighted the torch. And I think if we emulate this movement in the other parts of our society, I think we have a very bright future ahead of us.
I think we must help one another. This group, they also must help one another to see that high standard that they have set for themselves and our society is maintained, is sustained.
Yes.
Because very soon the temptation for all of us is to do what is right. Before we realize, we start to do it our way, not the right way. We start to do the right thing our way. We are very proud that we want to do the right thing. But before we realize, we are doing it our way, not God's way.
Yes.
Then others said, it's his way or her way. Human beings quickly understand where others are wrong. And therefore, what they are doing is a very big challenge they have. They have set a high standard.
Yes.
To which all can rise together.
Yes.
Our whole society and that the government leaders they have challenged. It's a challenge they've set. Not easy. But that's how a society, only that's how a society can grow.
We see that in Western countries, you are a well-traveled gentleman. So we see around the world that even a layman, in most of Western countries, civilized Western countries, even a layman is not scared to raise his voice against the government, the people in power. We see that in America, we see that in the UK. Of course, UK is a little different now, but we see that in America and Australia and ANZ as well. So what makes being there by physically yourself, who has lived there, what makes this society so much conscious that they are not scared to voice out their rights? They are not scared to point out the truth in the society. Ours, as an individual, we're not able to do. Unless it's a group. Naga, we call it bunch together. We are the loudest. Individually, we're scared. So, but if we see clippings of news outside the world, even a plumber can sue the prime minister of his country. So, what do you think gives them that power?
Like you're raising a very important point. If I may say so, you see, we must know ourselves. As at the beginning we touched.
Yes.
Our exposure to the world started barely 200 years ago.
Yes.
So we are compelled to respond to changes increasingly, for which we are not prepared. We're not used to it. Therefore, we have no resilience. And therefore, everything is new, like fighting, like this group that we mentioned, CTA and then PQ, whatever it is. Yeah. They're touching a huge issue. Due process in governance, that's a very, very sophisticated issue of the rule of law. So a thing like that, we have not done before. It was not necessary. That fight will need to, the changes that are coming is going to be more and more difficult.
Yes.
So I think we need to know that we're just starting and learn to do everything with seriousness, humility, and joy, knowing ourselves. Not be said that we're not as good as others. Know ourselves well, and help one another to do the right thing. Then we feel that we are growing. You see, say the Magna Carta.
Yes.
They have been doing for a long time. The Magna Carta was signed in, I think, 1015 or 2015 in England, at Runnymede. King John, he was an autocratic, authoritarian king. Divine right of kings and so on. It was very strong with the kings, as even today. He was a very autocratic ruler, but the barons and the earls under him, British society was still very not like today.
Yes.
But it was feudal.
Feudal.
Yeah, but even that in that feudal, the barons were under the king, the royal family and so on, the earls and so on, dukes and so on. But they said the king cannot say that he is right in everything. They also started to fight for their right.
Yes.
According to their responsibility in society.
Yes.
They were also great feudal people. But they said this is not right. God has created all of us, and therefore we are all, our rights are important. Again, it goes back to the original verse in the Bible. Amazing the impact of Christian civilization. And so they put up that charter and forced the king to come to the Runnymede. I think there was a park or something like that. Probably there was a Shamiana.
Yes.
And they read out to him a phalanx of earls and dukes and so forth. His kingdom said, this is what you are the king, you must be the king. We need you. But you will have to play your role according to these points of what is right and what is wrong.
Yeah.
There was the Magna Carta, the Great Charter. And the king realized that they were right. He didn't like it, but they were right.
Yes.
And there was a new change had come.
Yes.
England was going to change. So he agreed. He signed it. And that is the power of law, the beginning of law. And from that, they say that the United Nations Charter of Human Rights and all that, and the abolition of the slave trade, all that, upholding of the human rights, human dignity, all that has come out from that.
Magna Carta.
Yeah. So that was so many years ago. They have been doing for a long time.
Yes.
A few years ago, there was the 800 year of the human rights, Magna Carta.
Yes.
I read an article in the London Observer, Manchester Guardian. It said the British are observing the 800 year. I said, my gosh, we had. I was associated with Nagaho at that time. So Nagaho was just 1 year old, something like that. You see, therefore, we should not be surprised that everything is difficult and new for us. And the protest they put up, this friends you mentioned, CTAN and so on, they did a magnificent thing. And they did a very difficult thing. And but there are many other fields where we have to take the same kind of fight. And many people are not aware.
Yes.
But because it was a call to do what is right for the fair right of everybody supported them. This protest is like Akaut.
Yes.
Everybody said they're doing the right thing.
Mhm.
But I'm afraid I was associated with that as a senior advisor. I was asked to be.
Yes.
And I'm afraid it became a platform where we rejoice in telling where others are wrong.
Yes.
It's so easy to see where others are corrupt, overground, underground.
Mm.
But we do not see that we are also part of it, and therefore we who are fighting for it have returned so much money we have stolen or whatever it is.
Yes.
That's a long story.
Yes.
But a very great thing that stirred people up, I'm afraid. The fact is, although I have deeper respect for those whose integrity I trusted.
Yes.
They've had a very difficult time. But today, people say, well, it ended up telling her others are wrong. Nobody came out to say, I am wrong, we are wrong in this thing, and therefore we repay 1 lakh rupees or where we.
Just like what you did to your dad.
Yeah, like that. When there is a restitution, people say, well, he pays a price for it. She pays a price for it, that kind of thing. So I think in this, what you raised, everything we find, there is an emotional, immediate response. But to conduct it, we have very little institutional experience.
Yes.
Yeah, organizational experience.
Yes.
And they're shown a very good beginning. And we need to just keep improving. Kaizen, Kaizen, Kaizen. We need to know ourselves, first of all.
Yes.
And when we know ourselves, we become happy that, well, I'm not more than this, but I'm actually not less than what I am.
Exactly.
Build on what you are. Be happy with it. And I think that's what Naga struggle for our aspirations. Our right for self-determination, etc., etc. I think we should we should know what we have achieved. We tend to think that sovereignty, we have not become a member of the UN, and therefore we have failed. Well, membership of the UN is just the tip of the iceberg. Not the rest of the iceberg are the real Naga society.
Absolutely.
It's under the water, okay,
Very
but
true.
develop that properly.
Yes.
And that's this kind of protest is a sign of we trying to make our society that we can help to develop properly.
Before we attain freedom from India, we need to be free from the social evils pertaining to in our society.
Yes,
I think they're very important.
Well, solve our problems. Use all the money coming from Delhi. Use it properly. Use the state properly to solve our problems. Our society will say, well, this is wonderful. Nothing wrong with that,
And I don't think it will be very difficult to solve, apart from the national movement, the rest of the problem in Nagaland. I think it's very easily solvable because Nagaland is not, it's a small district in Uttar Pradesh in India. It's not even, the part of, it's very easily, they can send 50, 60, 100 of their best officers from Delhi and then easily they can, solve. Apart from the sovereignty, I don't think anybody can solve it except God. But the rest, I think Nagaland can be made into a very beautiful place. People everything can change and then we can have.
I think our discussion becoming long, I think. But you've touched a very important point here. You see, I think you should, this is one of my favorite subjects. I'm sure others also think a lot about it. The kingdom of God on earth as it is in heaven. The Lord's Prayer.
Yes.
The disciples said, teach us how to pray.
Yes.
Then he immediately gave one. He said, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. You see, we should give attention to every word he said. Thy kingdom, he came here to build the right society on earth, the just society, where what the CTAN protested should be followed.
Yes.
And things done the right way so that there is enough for everyone's need. Fair society, just society. Because there is enough for everyone's need, not for everyone's greed.
Yes.
So he said, that is a society in heaven like that. I want it done here. But we have talked about what is it up there and we are going there. And only batteries are going there. Others are not going there. I mean, people say, well, they're great, you're great people, but you're so boring. We should say that it's here. And if you can see that running the state government properly for whatever it is, using the money that comes properly it means not just the minister and the bureaucrats or the MLAs. It means every one of us outside the state, also the state government service also.
Yes.
We will solve our problems. But today, because we have said the state is the underground will say, oh, the state is created by India. It's not what we want, and therefore we are waiting for a better one to come.
Yes.
And the money coming, this is not important. Therefore, use it as we like. The result is our concept of the kingdom of God on earth, the just society, is to be lived here, not after we are buried and go there.
Yes.
God is saying, after you leave this world, leave it to me. Don't worry. Leave it to me. I have no idea what happens after this. Although we have so many ideas,
Yes.
naturally.
Yes.
But God is saying, leave it to me. But here, while you are still there, don't be a rascal. Do a great job down there. Live a great life down there, And if we say, well, the kingdom of God, building this great, exciting idea is really here. We must enjoy building it, and we will enjoy building it. You see, we must enjoy what we're doing, otherwise people are bored.
Yes.
And people said, well, I'm not doing the right thing. To have a sense that I'm not doing the right thing, although I may not admit it, it's the most destructive thing. I'm guilty. I'll do all kinds of things. An unhappy person will do all kinds of things that is self-destructive. Now, the result is today we have all the money coming from Delhi, all the whatever we may have, has become money to run the elections. You fight an election, you become MLA or minister or chief minister, you have to think of winning the next one. Because those who have voted you, they say, it's you. We have to live as we like. You do the right thing. And therefore, the money is mainly the MLA, the man who has won the election, become MLA, minister, or chief minister, whatever. He will say, well, to win the next election, I have to make sure I get enough money from the new government.
Yes.
So most of the thing they do are, in spite of all their understanding for the needs of our society, they feel it. But in order to win the next election, they have to make enough money from the present government they're running. So it becomes a election financing government only.
Yes.
And then the bureaucracy ends up being a salary distributing agency at the end of the month, because everybody is angry with them, and they said that everybody is this is our chance to make it. We are here. We got a job. All of us will do the same thing. It's not criticizing anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we will do the same thing. All of us.
Yes, if we were in the
Yeah.
place.
So our understanding of Christianity will result in building the right society right here. And if the state is run properly, it will change Nagaland in no time. And underground, overground will also be helped to do the right thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Otherwise, which I tend to say too much, I think, the Naga struggle underground, as we call it, has virtually destroyed itself and destroyed the people
Yes.
for whom it was started.
Yes.
The overground government has virtually destroyed itself, become election financing only now.
Yes.
Virtually destroyed itself and destroying our people for whom it was started. So both overground, underground, and all of us have produced a destructive society. I think, therefore, it comes down to what each one of us becoming responsible.
Exactly.
Learning to be responsible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is the same thing that Uncle Zed Lohe also told me.
Mm-hmm.
The circle ends with the one single vote, adult franchise vote. When you don't sell your vote, you elect the right leader. And you get the right to question him. But when you sell your rights,
Sell your rights.
sell your votes, you don't even have you don't even get permission to enter his residence or his office anymore, because he has already paid the price for your rights.
And he's contemptuous of you.
Absolutely.
Rightly so.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
And you're contemptuous of him. Rightly so.
yes.
Where were we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Before I end, I want you to share with the audience. Your generation seems to be very healthy. So, what is the secret behind the robustness in your health?
Well, I don't know, but I'll share my own thinking. I think, as I said at the beginning, questions and things you become conscious of, aware of, about our society and the world that come to you. Don't run away from them. Welcome them. And say, what am I to do? Am I to say that I'm not important to worry about these things? You understand?
Yes.
Learn to say I'm very, very inadequate, ultimately. But these things disturb me. Therefore, maybe I have to respond somehow. Now, your response decides your battle. If I say, well, that one, yes, oh yeah, that one, I don't want to worry about them. It's for some people who are more well-placed, more wealthy, more popular, more handsome, more all kinds of things, more talented. Many of us can use that excuse. Or many of us are very talented, can say that I don't worry because I have so many things I can do myself, which I'll enjoy for myself.
Yes.
You are never going to be happy, whether you are very talented or not, because the world is a reality, existential reality that you're part of. You're created to do something about it, and it's a colossal, exciting truth.
Yes.
Well, am I expected by my Creator to make these things better, this hellish things better? Something in the human spirit responds to it. My gosh, I can do something if I am willing. That's why in Psalm 51, the psalmist say, I think in verse 6, I think in Psalm 51, arm me or equip me with a willing spirit. He know the story of David did that mischievous thing with his general's wife, general, and to get his general's wife, and that prayer of repentance, one of the greatest prayers in the world. He says, "I have done the wrong thing, not you." God, he said to God, "You are right," and therefore, and then in verse 6 he says, "Arm me with a willing spirit, then I will tell transgressors your ways." I mean, I will be a help to others who are just like me, rascals like me. Equip me with a willing spirit. The trouble with equip me with the AK-47, I can solve my problem and the problem of my affection or whatever it is. There, he's asking God a willing spirit. I'm a counselor for addiction.
Yes.
I work with Naga mothers for a long time.
Okay.
And I'm still a counselor all the time.
Okay.
From that, I learned that the slogan we use every day, stuck on the wall in the rehab center, is the formula, the how formula of life, HOW. Honesty, openness, willingness, HOW.
Okay.
That formula of life will, if you stick to it, recovery starts from there and keeps you recovering. if I'm honest, simply honest about where I'm not happy or it's not right, and I'm open what to do about it. If I'm not open, then the story ends there. But if I'm open and I'm willing to do what needs to be done, then the sky is the limit. Then I'm a battler. I become a fighter. That's why I'm brought to this planet. God wants me to be there. I'm required to be there. That is the meaning of following the way, the truth, and the life. And I think if we have that, if we don't have that, I feel that our resistance or denial of things that we should give our attention to, there is a psycho-spiritual burning of our insights. Psycho-spiritual means that where our health, everything is regulated.
Yes.
Our health is not. We're not just an pork and beef and rice eating machines.
Yes.
And whiskey drinking. We are required to wrestle with existential issues, problems of this world. And he has required you, made in his image, to play your part with him to create the society here, the right society that will be just and fair for everybody, for people to grow properly. And whatever we may have, all kinds of bright and beautiful ideas we see in Dimapur, Kohima, new buildings, all kinds of things, the best cars, wonderful. Airport, railways becoming better, all that. We are not growing properly. And when people are not growing properly, because we are made in his image, we say, well, it's not right. I'm meant to do something. Be honest with what you were meant to do and how to do it, and really accept that wholeheartedly, totally, and be willing to learn it from everybody.
Yes.
I find to learn to receive correction from my wife and the person closest to me keeps everything fresh, alive. If I cannot receive correction from others, suggestion from others, I just cut the whole world off and I'm out to destroy myself. Because I become an impossible person. But if I'm open, they say, well, we can work with him. Oh, he can be trusted. And
Yes.
These things. I think the more and more are the rising generation, you are going to face tougher and tougher challenges. And AI is going to make things much more hellish.
Yes.
It can give us a sense of panic to the majority of people who say, we can't make it. And some of you are so clever, you go for some distance. But you also are likely to say, the hell, it's only Zuckerberg and Bill Gates, some of them can do it because they have a lot of money to play with it and so on and so forth.
Yes.
In fact, if we say, I'm open, honest, and willing to do what needs to be done here in Nagaland, to start with, I'm not in New York or Tokyo, but I'm here. Here I'm open, honest, and willing to do what needs to be done. Learning from my creator how to do it. Feeling very poor in spirit because it's very difficult.
Yes.
But because it is right, I'm going to do it. I think you say, well, I'm glad I'm doing it. If you say you're glad you're doing it, you're likely to cut many things out. Then you don't need to be bothered about what you eat or drink or whatever. It's up to you, for everyone to decide. But too much that's not good is going down the hatch.
Exactly.
Or the gourds. And our gut health in the stomach. Gut health decides whether we have good health or bad health.
Okay.
Not what we taste up here.
Okay.
But our gut health decides whether we're going to have this or that disease or that condition starting. I mean, the world is discovering that multinationals are killing us on a huge scale by selling their product that are not good for health.
Genetically modified.
Yeah, modified, that's it. I mean, the world is really becoming, getting into an outrage about it. And all of us are beginning to discover that you don't have it at all. Have this and this much only, but this way, become very simple.
Yes.
And when your God health is good, you're taking care of the temple of the Holy Spirit. The Bible says you're temple of the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is awfully important, no doubt. But it shows that if the temple is not there, Holy Spirit won't be there. You are temple of the Holy Spirit, so take care of it. And it means finding how to take care of the Holy Spirit, the temple of the Holy Spirit. And things you'll discover that the adventure will start. But we can discuss in the coming days also.
Yes, we can discuss.
Yeah, share our experiences. I'll learn from you.
So, thank you so much. Actually, it more sounded like I needed to hear the lecture instead of the people on the other side of the internet. It looks like the message was exactly aimed at me. Yeah, the thing that you said, it really, I feel like I should be the first person to listen and then inculcate that. So,
well, I'm very inspired by your interest in the questions you raised.
thank you.
Yeah, you're really interested in the questions, and they're big questions, the most relevant questions. So that inspires me very much. The name of our house is called Garuniki, a
Yes.
house for listening.
Yes.
So my wife and family members often have to remind me, now the name of your house is a house for listening. Okay, you're talking too much.
Okay, so I really want to thank you so much. I oftentimes these thoughts comes to my mind that I'm not the right person for this. I'm not a professional journalist. I did not go into this media. I did not study anything with this print and publishing subject. And there are better people than me to do all this kind of thing. This kind of show, interviewing like-minded Naga elders. But today you fortified my my thoughts that if not me, if I can, we should not wait for somebody to come and pick up the dirt on the ground. You do it, even if nobody follows you, not a problem. But
Fine.
somebody has to do it. So, like you said, you may not be the right person for the job. You may not be the perfect guy, but somebody has to do it. So today, you really fortified my what I always thought. I had doubt once in a while. I thought of giving up as well because I thought I'm not the right person for this. But today, you really you put this hope in me that what I'm doing the right thing. So
Absolutely.
I may not be perfect, but I'm gonna get there someday. So yeah, thank you so much.
Nobody can listen to your inner voice as you can.
Exactly.
And that is your responsibility. So it's the biggest thing.
Yes.
And probably there are people who will do much better.
Yes.
Thank God. Let
Yes.
them do better.
Absolutely.
But yours, nobody can do.
Yes.
And that is absolutely unique. Thank you very much.